Hey everybody, this is Ashia and I'm back with another installment of My Life with Endometriosis, and this time I want to talk about dating. Now, I'm a single woman who dates men, and I want to discuss this because it is an issue that I've been thinking about, because I've kind of jumped back into the dating pool and would like to be in a relationship, would like to eventually get married. And I was just wondering to myself, in the dating process, when do you inform the person that you're involved with about your endometriosis? It's definitely not something that I would suggest talking about on the first date, second date, third date. It's not something that you should bring up right away, just because who wants to talk about your medical conditions when you're just getting to know someone? Endometriosis is a part of who you are, but it doesn't define you. So for me, I was kind of thinking, well, how does that play into it? When do you talk about it? How do you talk about it? This applies to, like myself, I'm a woman who dates men, but for women who date women, that's the thing about endometriosis. Even though it's a female condition, there are plenty of women who have no idea what it is. They don't know that it exists. They don't know how it affects you. They don't know how to, manage it or anything. So regardless of what your sexual orientation is and who you love and date, this is something that is going to come up if you are a person who is living with endometriosis. So what I would like to suggest, and kind of some of the ways that I've handled it, as you can see clearly, I'm very open about it. I don't have any qualms about discussing it. It's not shameful. I'm not ashamed of it. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything to cause this. As we all know, it's not contagious. It's not an STD. It's not communicable. So you don't feel ashamed about it. You didn't do anything wrong. They don't know what causes it. So until someone can give you clear cut, this is what causes endometriosis, this is how people get it, this is how people get rid of it, like, until you have those clear cut factors, it's all an unknown. And so what we can't do is we can't take responsibility for how we got it or how it developed, but we can take responsibility for how we live with it and how we engage the people in our lives. So my policy has always been, just as a person, is to be very open and honest. I'm very open with my friends, with my family. I have female friends that I've talked to about my struggles and my challenges with endometriosis and fibroids. I have male friends who I've talked about because I've had some situations where I've had hospital visits. I have had, things come up that were some health issues, and I wanted to tell them. I didn't want to kind of beat around the bush or not tell them what was going on. So I'm very open about it. Now, when I say, and I don't know, because most of my female friends, as women, we just tend to be more sensitive about our reproductive area when we talk with each other. So there is a level of sensitivity there in those conversations that I've had with women. When I have the conversations with men, there is sometimes a level of just, I guess it's a communication thing, or a perception, a perspective thing, where, I was thinking about this, and it seems that guys, with men and their relationship with their reproductive area, it's a different level of relationship. As women, we're so in tune with our reproductive area. It's like we are, every month we have to tend to it for at least 5 to 7 days, or 3 to 5 days if you're lucky. We have to be aware of what's happening. We have to know. And so we're more in tune and sensitive to what happens in that area. Whereas men, to me, in my experience, it seems that they're not the way that we are kind of deal with that area is different. So often I'll tell my male friends, the first question out of their mouth often is, well, can you still have kids? And I never take it personally. I never take it like they're trying to be mean or trying to be a jerk about it. What I look at it as, that's something that they're thinking about, and really it shows that they're concerned for me, because they know that, a lot of people, having children is a very pivotal part of their life and their existence, the ability to have kids. And that's something that shows that they at least care. So for ladies who are telling a man, and if he kind of asks that question, you know, don't bristle, don't get, you know, unless the intention of the question is negative. You can tell when it's asked if it has some negativity behind it. But if it's just a curiosity thing, you know, that's fine. Be aware that it's not, it probably isn't an insensitivity factor. It's a perception issue, or they don't really, you know, they don't really know. It's a communication thing. But my advice and my suggestion and the way that I plan to handle it is to be honest. It's not something you should talk about, you know, on the first few dates, just because that's just not who wants to talk about their medical conditions, unless you have a medical condition that is clearly apparent and that will be an immediate factor in your relationship. Endometriosis is something that will probably not come up right away. But because it's reproductive related, it's definitely something that should come up before you're married, before you're engaged, before you decide, before you are talking about having children. I think for me, in the timeline of a relationship, the time to really have a true conversation with the person that you're dating about your endometriosis, your condition, is before things get really serious. You know, and you can tell when you feel like you're about to move into that next level of where you're going beyond dating and getting to know each other to we're in a relationship, we're probably boyfriend and girlfriend, we may be about to move in together, whatever, you know, when that's about to happen. I feel like you should have the conversation before that. And unfortunately, be prepared for them to react negatively or leave. Be prepared for the negative response. Be prepared for the positive response. Just because they're human, and if this is a person who doesn't know what it is, you know, who knows how they're going to react. So be prepared for that. It has no bearing on who you are. It has no bearing on your worth. Has no bearing on your beauty, on how you know. It's not because of you. If they leave, it's because of them. And if they leave, then that's good for you, because if you have endometriosis or fibroids, this is not something that you can have a shaky support system about, because as all of us know, things can happen where you can go from you're perfectly fine, like myself, I was perfectly well, I was okay, and then I was in the emergency room and I was in the hospital for 4 days, you know, because I ended up with a bowel obstruction, which I'll tell that story in another video. And you know, I feel like it was related to my endometriosis. So it's like, it's not something that you can have a shaky support system. You need a strong support system. This is why I tell you, tell them before you commit, before it gets too serious. So that way, if they decide to leave, it will hurt, but you haven't fully invested in the relationship yet, and you can get past it. If the person doesn't leave and they have questions, you know, educate yourself. Take them to the doctor with you and let them talk to your gynecologist and find and ask about this, so that they're educated and they have the good information about what it is, what could happen, and what it takes to support someone who has endometriosis like we do. So I wanted to just give some insight, because this was something that I was thinking about, because, you know, I've jumped back into the dating pool. I would like to be married one day, and this is something that I have to know, because I'm going to have to tell the guy that I'm dating, you know, at one point I'm going to have to say to him, this is something that I have, this is something that I've had to live with, and this is how it could affect our relationship, and I have to be prepared for what happens. So I want us to be thinking about that and realize it's not a daunting, it could be considered daunting, but it's just about being open and honest. If you need more tips and insight, if you will, maybe, you know, I can give you some words that I've used when I've spoken to some of my male friends. I can do that. If you have questions, if you have an experience and you want to share that, good, bad, or indifferent, please do so. If you have a video that you would like to share, give comments, feedback, please. Let's start a community of people with endometriosis, who are even people who are supporting someone with it, so that we can just get more knowledgeable and build a network of people who, you know, can support ourselves with this condition. So I hope that this was helpful. I thank you for all of your positive responses. You know, that mean a lot to me. And please keep them coming. Keep your questions coming. And I just hope that, you know, I can help someone, and if you have a story, maybe I can learn from you. So signing off, this is Ashia, and This is my life with endometriosis.